I'm Adrian Seet, and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. Malaysia has the possibility of getting an earthquake. An Idul Fitri exodus, traffic slow moving along northbound route. Thanks for joining us. Traffic was recorded to be smooth and under control and several major highways as of 11 p.m, despite an increase in the number of vehicles ahead of the Idul Fitri celebration. A Plus Malaysia Berhad spokesman said as of 11 p.m, traffic flow on the North-South Expressway heading to Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Johor from the federal capital was smooth. However, traffic was slow-moving along the northbound route due to higher number of vehicles plying the highway at Sungai and Slim River. According to Malaysian Highway Authority (LLM), traffic was also slow-moving at the Gombak Toll Plaza heading to the East Coast. Meanwhile, traffic flow on the East Coast Expressway, LPT1 and LPT2 was smooth in both directions. LLM expects an increase in traffic volume of up to 2.3 million vehicles daily on three major expressways in the country starting on Wednesday until May the 7th in conjunction with the Idul Fitri celebration. It said the expected increase in traffic is on the Plus highways, Kuala Lumpur-Kara Expressway and East Coast Expressway or LPT1. Malaysia has the possibility of getting an earthquake based on empirical evidence. According to the Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Ministry, the Department of Minerals and Geosciences Malaysia, JMG, is conducting engagement sessions with the local authorities and stakeholders in the application of seismic hazard maps as a long-term mitigation measure. In a statement on Wednesday, the ministry said a public awareness program is also being implemented for state authorities, local residents and schools that are exposed to the risk of an earthquake. It also recommended that the seismic hazard map input be referred to in designing building structures in Malaysia. For the record, strong earthquakes have occurred in Malaysia, namely with a magnitude of 6.0 to 6.3 on the Richter scale in Sabah in 1923, 1958, 1976 and 2015, while the strongest earthquake in Sarawak occurred in 1996 with a magnitude of 5.3 on the Richter scale. In Peninsular Malaysia, there have also been several earthquakes with a strength range of between 1.6 to 4.6 on the Richter scale that occurred between 1984 and 2013, with the local epicenters in Bukit Tinggi Pahang, Kenyir Dam Terengganu, Kuala Pilah Negeri Sembilan, Manjong and Temenggong in Perak. The ministry added that JMG has installed 6 active earthquake benchmark PAG stations in Sabah and 54 passive PAG stations in 6 states, namely Sabah, Pahang, Selangor, Perak, Negeri Sembilan and Sarawak, to monitor active movements with the potential to cause earthquakes. The seismic hazard map in Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak had also been published in 2019, which is used as a reference to design earthquake-resistant buildings. The government has decided to extend the Idul Fitri special financial aid to 3 more volunteer bodies, namely the Territorial Army Regiment, Armed Forces Reserve Force and the Malaysian Maritime Volunteer Corps. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this was in response to applications submitted by these bodies.
Untuk sukarelawan, tadi saya dimaklum bahawa ada permohonan di kalangan sukarelawan yang tidak dimasukkan. Pertama, sukarelawan dari Watania, kedua, sukarelawan Angkatan Tentera dan ketiga, sukarelawan Maritim. Yang ketiga-tiga itu kita masukkan dalam kategori bantuan Idul Fitri sukarelawan.
He told this to reporters after a walkabout to meet with traders at the PKNS Ramadan Bazaar in Shah Alam, Selangor on Wednesday. According to the Finance Ministry, 26,000 people from the 3 volunteer bodies would receive the Idul Fitri special financial aid, involving an allocation of 7.8 million ringgit. On March 29th, the government announced that more than 200,000 people, comprising members of the Malaysian Volunteer Corps Department, Malaysia Civil Defence Force, police volunteers and volunteer firefighters would receive the Idul Fitri financial aid of 300 ringgit each. And in conjunction with the approaching Idul Fitri, Datuk Sri Anwar expressed hope that the people strengthen unity to develop and save the beloved country. He believed the unity of the people can raise the dignity of the country and lead to a peaceful and prosperous environment.
Mari kita kuatkan semangat kesatuan rakyat Malaysia, membangunkan negara, menyelamatkan negara dan memulakan daripada diri kita setelah Ramadan Karim, kita membersihkan diri, jiwa kita supaya mengangkat martabat keluarga kita, masyarakat kita, negara kita sebagai satu kesatuan.
The Prime Minister said this in a video lasting 2 minutes and 36 seconds, which was uploaded on his Facebook page on Wednesday.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Transport Minister Anthony Loke has brushed off a speculation that leaders from his party had been summoned by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) over its probe into a large amount of money linked to a minister. Commenting on the report by Utusan Malaysia that a political leader was to be called in, Loke, who is also DAP Secretary General, said that the report did not identify the party.
I saw the report, it did not state which particular case. So I think we have not been caught, I do not know.
I think some of the reports say that this case is linked to the Sivakuma case.
That's your report. The SPRM did not say that linked to which particular case. As far as I said, I have not been caught.
Loke said this at a press conference at Terminal Bersepadu Selatan in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday. The anti-graft agency had said that it would call in several witnesses, including the leader of a political party, for information linked to the money. While the Daily did not identify the minister, it had earlier reported that Human Resources Minister V. Sivakumar had been questioned by authorities for the second time as part of a probe into foreign worker recruitment. The Batu Gajah MP, however, denied that he was a suspect in the ongoing investigations. The process of bringing back the 32 Malaysians who are stranded in Sudan will be carried out as soon as the situation permits. Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir said all of them are safe at 7 locations and are provided with food and medicine for 2 weeks. According to Datuk Sri Zamri, during the cabinet meeting on Wednesday, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim had ordered for rescue efforts to be conducted as soon as the situation allowed.
Sekali lagi, saya ingin menekankan komitmen kerajaan Malaysia untuk memastikan keselamatan rakyat Malaysia di Sudan menjadi keutamaan. Pasukan petugas khas akan membawa keluar ke semua rakyat Malaysia sebaik sahaja ada peluang berbuat demikian.
The minister said that based on the current evaluation, the safe route out is by air via Khartoum International Airport. However, the airport is still not in operation as it has become a target of the battle. He added that based on the latest reports, 185 people were killed, while more than 2,000 people were reported to be injured. Unfortunately, the number of casualties is expected to rise due to limited access to the battlefield and the fact that Sudan's healthcare services are currently functioning at a minimum level. Sharing the latest development at the Petronas complex in Sudan, which was taken by force last Monday, Datuk Sri Zamri said Sudanese Armed Forces SAF, which is still occupying the building, have made the roof in Block B as a post to monitor any activities that may threaten the SAF headquarters. In the meantime, thousands of residents fled Khartoum on Wednesday as fighting between the army and paramilitaries raged for a 5th day after the 24-hour truce failed to take hold. It was reported that thousands of people took matters into their own hands and began leaving their homes in Khartoum, some in cars and others on foot, including women and children. According to the most recent United Nations toll, 5 days of fighting in Khartoum and elsewhere in the northeast African country have killed at least 185 people. Governments have also started planning to evacuate thousands of foreigners, including Japan, which had begun the necessary preparations to evacuate around 60 of its nationals, including embassy staff. The violence erupted on Saturday between the forces of two generals, Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Muhammad Hamdan Dagalo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. It followed a bitter dispute between them over the planned integration of the RSF into the regular army, a key condition for a final deal aimed at restoring Sudan's democratic transition. All traffic summonses for violations in 2022 and earlier are eligible for the special settlement rate of 50 ringgit, except summonses that are pending settlement in court, as they are out of the purview of the Royal Malaysia Police, PDRM. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Director Datuk Sri Mat Kasim Karim said the offer is different from PDRM's offer of up to 60% discount on selected summonses in conjunction with the 216th Police Day recently. According to Datuk Sri Mat Kasim, aside from the rate, which is lower, the Police Day offer did not cover some summonses, such as accident cases, non-compoundable offences, beating the red light, and summonses with warrant status. He added, members of the public can settle their summonses online via My Baya Saman application or physically at all traffic counters at a police contingent and district headquarters nationwide from April 21st to May 21st this year. The police is also not limiting the total number of traffic summonses which can be paid by the people during the period and welcome them to settle all summonses they have received. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim announced the month-long special summons rate of 50 ringgit for all traffic summonses in 2022 and earlier. However, the flat rate is not applicable to traffic summonses issued this year. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Dr. Nor Hisham Abdullah, who will be going on mandatory retirement this Friday, plans to take a well-deserved rest after serving the country's public healthcare sector for 35 years. The outgoing Health Director General, hailed as a national hero when the country was facing the COVID-19 pandemic, clocked out for the last time at the Health Ministry in Putrajaya around 4:20 p.m. on Wednesday. Tan Sri Dr. Nor Hisham, who had been looking forward to retiring, was all smiles when he bid farewell to the ministry staff who gathered at the lobby to see him off. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa and Deputy Health Minister Lukanisman Awang Sauni were also present to wish him a happy retirement.
Alhamdulillah, kita tidak kekurangan dan kita dapat kawan baik. Memang saya berhubunglah bersara.
Tan Sri Dr. Nor Hisham will always be remembered for his leadership when Malaysia was faced with the COVID-19 pandemic and was an instrumental figure in helping the country overcome the global health crisis that began in 2020. He began his public service career as a medical officer in August 1988 and after assuming several roles was appointed as the Health Director General on March 1, 2013. He graduated from University Kebangsaan Malaysia with a master's degree in surgery and a Doctor of Medicine degree, and also received training in endocrine surgery at various universities in Adelaide and Sydney, Australia. His legacy will continue to be an inspiration to all health workers in this country. 12 held over Beijing hospital fire. This and more from the Foreign Front right after this short break. On to the foreign front. Britain has Western Europe's highest rate of consumer price inflation after it fell less than expected, bolstering bets that the Bank of England will raise interest rates again in May. According to the Office for National Statistics, consumer prices rose by an annual 10.1%, down from 10.4% in February, but above the 9.8% forecast by economists. Britain's headline March figure was the highest in Western Europe and the only one at 10% or above. The reading underlined expectations that the nation will suffer high inflation for longer than its peers due to a diminished workforce following the COVID-19 pandemic, heavy reliance on natural gas for power and heating, as well as trade and labour market frictions caused by Brexit. Inflation, which hit a 41-year high of 11.1% in October, also continued to eat into the spending power of workers, whose pay is rising by less, as the price of food and non-alcoholic drinks jumped 19.1% in March, the biggest such increase since August 1977. Commuters in Germany will face widespread disruption as Rail Workers' Union EVG on Wednesday announced that it would hold a day-long strike on Friday across the country. The strike, which coincides with a separate walkout at 3 airports, involves 50 rail companies and will run from 3 a.m. until 11 a.m. local time. High inflation in Europe's largest economy has prompted strikes in recent months as workers demand higher pay to offset the rising cost of living. The EVG, which is negotiating on behalf of 230,000 workers, is seeking a 12% wage increase, or at least an additional $712 per month. The state-owned Deutsche Bahn has previously offered a 5% wage increase, along with a one-off payment of $2,700, but EVG has turned down the offer. Deutsche Bahn has said Friday's strike would have a massive impact on the country's rail network, and its impact would continue after the action ends. Over in China, 12 people have been arrested over a hospital fire in Beijing that left at least 29 dead and forced desperate survivors to jump out of windows to escape. Among those detained are the director and deputy director of the hospital, as well as the head of the firm overseeing the renovation works. Officials said a preliminary investigation revealed that the blaze was caused when flammable paint materials ignited during renovation work. The Fengtai district's deputy mayor, meanwhile, expressed his deep condolences over the deaths of the 16 women and 13 men killed in the inferno, the deadliest in Beijing in over 2 decades. The blaze broke out on Tuesday afternoon at the Changfeng Hospital in China's capital, killed mostly patients, and left scores of other people injured. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Wednesday claimed that his country has completed the development of its first military spy satellite and ordered officials to proceed with a planned launch to counter what he called threats from the United States and South Korea. Analysts said the military satellite is part of the reclusive nuclear-armed states' efforts to advance surveillance technology, including drones, to improve its ability to strike targets in the event of a conflict. The official Korean Central News Agency KCNA reported that Kim told officials on Tuesday to ensure that the launch went ahead on time. He also ordered a series of more reconnaissance satellites to be launched. The KCNA further said that the satellite production has been completed, but it did not elaborate when the launch is scheduled for. The report of its completion comes about a week after Pyongyang launched what it said was a new solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, marking a major breakthrough in its banned weapons programs. Still to come, Cristiano Ronaldo suffers another defeat. Stay with us. Sports, football, the 2023 Super League. 3 more matches took place on Wednesday night. Sabah FC ran amok as they trashed Kelantan FC 6-1, while Johor Darul Takzim recorded a slim 1-0 win over PDRM FC. In Ipoh, hosts Perak had to be satisfied with a share of points after they were held to a 1-1 draw by Negeri Sembilan FC. Still on football, the Saudi Pro League. Al Nassr failed to leapfrog Al Ittihad to the top of the standings after suffering a 2-0 loss at Al Hilal. 2 penalties from Nigerian forward Odion Iglaho in the 42nd and the 62nd minute respectively sealed Al Nassr's fate as they suffered a 3rd defeat of the season in the league. Ronaldo endured a frustrating night, receiving a yellow card for a robust challenge on Colombian midfielder Gustavo Suela before having a goal ruled out for offsides. Second place Al Nassr sit on 53 points, 3 behind leaders Al Ittihad and having played a game more, while Al Hilal remained 4th on 49, trailing Al Shabab by a point. On to tennis, the Barcelona Open. Top seed Carlos Alcaraz of Spain beat Portugal's Nuno Borges to advance to the 3rd round. World number 2 Alcaraz needed just over an hour to record a 6-3, 6-1 win at the ATP 500 event in Spain. Alcaraz was in ruthless form as he converted 5 of the 7 break points offered up to him. Norway's 3rd seed Casper Ruud joined Alcaraz in the last 16, beating American Ben Sheldon 6-2, 7-6 in a match lasting 1 hour and 40 minutes. Despite Shelton recovering a 3-5 deficit in the second set to force a tiebreak, Ruud reasserted his dominance in time to wrap a 70-minute second record triumph against the 20-year-old lefty. After this breather, former company executive faces 2 graft charges. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back. The Immigration Department has busted a syndicate which smuggled Sri Lankan children to Europe using Malaysian passports following the arrest of a local married couple. Its Director General, Dato' Ruslin Jusso, said the couple was nabbed on April the 12th when they turned up at the Kuala Lumpur immigration headquarters to get a Malaysian passport for a Sri Lankan child. In a statement on Wednesday, Dato' Ruslin said the husband and wife, who are the syndicate's masterminds, would act as a transporter by bringing the Sri Lankan child with a Malaysian passport to Europe. It was believed that the Bahnu International's syndicate made use of poor Malaysian parents with children under 12 to obtain the passports. The syndicate would trick parents into bringing their child's birth certificate to the immigration office on the pretext of wanting to make a passport for the kid. However, during the application process at the immigration counter, a Sri Lankan almost the same age as the Malaysian child would be ushered to the counter instead to get their fingerprint and photograph taken. It was learned that the parents were paid 500 ringgit for bringing their child to the immigration office. Initial investigations also showed the syndicate received 30,000 to 50,000 euros for each Sri Lankan child taken to Europe. The couple aged 37 and 26 have been charged under the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Wednesday. Both accused will be held at the Kajang prison until the next mention of the case on May 11th. In Pulau Pinang, a former chief operating officer, COO of a company, pleaded not guilty in the Butterworth Sessions Court on Wednesday to charges of abusing his position to obtain gratification amounting to over 415,000 ringgit 7 years ago. 42-year-old Zidi Abdul Talib claimed trial after the charges were read to him before Judge Zulhasmi Abdullah, who then fixed May 30th for case mention. Azidi was charged with committing the offence in his capacity as the COO, who was covering as the Chief Executive Officer of Mutiara.com Sdn Bhd, by appointing a company that belonged to his younger sibling for the supply of CCTV equipment worth over 223,000 ringgit for the Sri Bayu apartment project in the Barat Daya district on February the 4th, 2016. The accused was also charged with using his position to approve his sibling's company as a supplier for the intercom installation work, worth over 191,000 ringgit for the same project on June 14th the same year. He is looking at 20 years imprisoned and a fine of up to 5 times the value of the gratification, or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher, if found guilty. The judge granted Azidi 10,000 ringgit bail on each charge with one surety and ordered him to surrender his passport to the court, as well as to report to the nearest MACC office once a month. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look as Palestinians flock the markets to prepare for the coming Eid al-Fitri, which marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan. I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for tuning in, and to all our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.